know, we've traveled the state together, talking about adult education and the importance, and I've heard you talk many times about how we need a mentality in education about any time, any place, any pace, so that adults can re-engage in education. What do we need to do differently to really help those adults who worked in Elkhart, did everything right, went to work every day, worked hard, and maybe didn't even get a high school diploma, now find themselves unemployed and looking at a future very uncertain for them? What do we need to do to engage them?
Yeah, great question, Carolyn. I do talk a lot about any time, any place, any pace education, because I think that those qualities typify what is needed by the adult learning community. So let's take them in order. Any time. Folks are busy. They have complex lives. They need to balance the exigencies of family, caring potentially for aging parents, child care issues. With respect to the incumbent worker, the person who's not dislocated, they've got to work a full-time job or at least a part-time job. So they've got to be able to study and continue their coursework at hours of the day that are particularly conducive to their needs, rather than the traditional academic schedule. And I can tell you from my experience within higher education that the academic schedule is actually becoming compressed to more like Tuesday to Thursday from 10 to 2. And some of our providers are doing a great job of expanding those horizons, bringing in Saturday and actually Sunday study. Ivy Tech just had a great model where it was teaching classes at midnight. And those kinds of flexibilities need to be fostered even more intentionally within post-secondary study. So anytime, any place. Most folks don't have the luxury of going to a learning site. We've done a good job of making sure that communities have learning opportunities within them. Ivy Tech in particular has done a very good job of expanding its learning sites to make sure the commute time to a place of study is not long. But online education offers even greater flexibility of place. And Indiana has been slow to adopt the online learning model. So the more we can move in that direction, that frees the adult learner from having to go to a learning site. They can do their learning during their lunch hour at work, in the afternoon hours when they get out of work, and into the evening hours without having to go to a place, a site-based educational course. So anytime, any place, any pace. We also know that adult learners don't learn at the same rate of speed. For one, it takes some folks less time to master understanding, to master knowledge, than it does other individuals. But we also want to be sensitive to the adult learner who simply can't keep up the pace of doing a 15 credit hour semester. So if we're able to take those values of any time, any place, any pace more to heart within the state of Indiana, I think we'll deliver educational outcomes that are available and flexible enough to meet the incumbent workers' needs as well as the dislocated worker needs. But as we do that, we can't forget academic rigor. And we need to raise the bar. Just as the demands of the workplace are increasing, so the content of the curricula need to increase at the same rate. And we need to be mindful that there is a very strong connection between the business community and the academic community to make sure that the skills and the knowledge and the abilities taught in the curricular setting match those that are needed, not just for the workplace of today, but where we're headed. And what Steve talks about constantly as being the future of advanced manufacturing worker needs. And of course, we need to assure quality. And the game is changing. You've heard from my comments. I'm a big fan of Ivy Tech, and I think that Indiana is fortunate in the extreme to have a high-quality, statewide community college system. But you've all heard the advertisements, and increasingly there are proprietary institutions, for-profit institutions, not-for-profit institutions coming into play and offering what one needs to approach with skepticism as various forms of curricula. We need to make sure that adult learners know the quality of the program that they're getting into. We need to make sure that employers recognize a differentiated credential when they see it, and we need to make sure that folks don't get in over their head in terms of student debt. So anytime, any place, any pace, with rigor and assured quality.